Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forged Lands Forever. Today I have a 3v3 ladder match here on the most amazing Neuroxys map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players. But before I do so, the ratings for each of the players are all zeros. I have no idea why. I checked to make sure I was updated on all the client-side things and all that. I have no idea. It even gave an average rating for this match at 1547. So the players have ratings. They're just not displayed. No idea. If anybody knows, let me know down in the comments. But let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players. Starting up for the red team in the Northeast, also known as team number 1. Ending with team 2, also known as the blue team in the Southwest. Starting up with team 1's possible regardless player we have in Ruby Red, Nuclear Justice. He is a Cybern. He is in Ruby Red. Again, I was about to introduce his rating, but they don't exist for this match. To the Southwest, we have in Orange Chicago, Orange Betagy, Savoy, Pocan, or BSP, or Betagy for short. He is a Cybern as well. And rounding out Team 1's lineup, we have as a third Cybern, so it is all Cyberns for Team 1. It is Barfeeder. Definitely would not recommend doing any sort of thing like that. He is a Chevy Crimson colored Cybern. So for Team 1's side of the map, again, it is all Cyberns, no UEF, no Seraphim, no Aeons for Team 1. Starting up with Team 2's Southern player, they're working our way north. What do we have in Stitch Blue? Another Cybern player. It is Scarecrow. He is, again, in Stitch Blue, and I keep wanting to default to give everybody's ratings, but they just don't exist in this game, or this match at least. To the north, we have an Amethyst Purple and Dead, not undead, but and dead. He is a Seraphim. Again, he's an Amethyst Purple. And last but not least for Team 1 in Royal Blue is the other Seraphim. It is Kamer. He is a, I keep wanting to do it. He is a Seraphim player. So for Team 2's side of the map, it is 2 Seraphim, 1 Cybern. Team 2 lacks Aeon and UEF, which means for the entirety of this match, there are no UEF players or Aeon players. So apologies to those loyal to the Princess and to those loyal to the Old Earth Empire. Hopefully you enjoy the game nonetheless. And as a reminder, Team 1 also lacks the Seraphim faction. So there are 4 out of the 6 players being Cybern, 2 Seraphim, and that is it. And for these 6 players on the map, let's take a look at how much reclaim they have to scoop up. Currently sitting at 49,000 mass in reclaim, which makes it 8,000 mass per player. That is a metric ton of mass to scoop up. Most of it residing in the northwest corner of the map here. Tons of thousands, even 1,500s dotted in there. We even see a decent amount of mass in the main players' base, and then a couple of thousand down here in the southwest. But definitely these clip players are going to instantly go after that reclaim down there, and specifically not just because of the reclaim, but the mechs count up here is pretty high. There are some mechs dotted in the background here for Team 1. It's at least a 5-star mechs here. And of course, included in this mess is a quad mech position. There's also a Trimex position and another one down here in the southeast and another quad over here. So there are a decent amount of groupings of mechs to grab, and I can kind of call it another quad mech position right there. It's a little bit too spread out, but it's close enough. Besides that, of course, there is a couple of mechs in the middle to be fought over, but for the most part, it's going to be one of those things where Team 1 will have the north, Team 2 will have the west, and the ones in the middle are kind of just going to exist. We do see that distance building has been occurred here between Barf Eater and Kamer. It is the easiest way to get units down there rather than building transports and ferrying them down there is, you know, a little bit more time consuming. This is going to be very important that both of these players do not lose any sort of access to this lowest section of the map. Maybe build a facility back here just in case. I wouldn't be surprised to see them build their headquarters down here because the main elevation that they're at in terms of the units kind of not great for land units. As you can see, there's kind of a gap here to be able to get units across the map, and then even if they wanted to, there's a narrow environment to get through the middle of the map, and we even see Team 1 even walling off that anyways. So realistically, the only land engagements that are going to occur are in the lower sections of the map, this area down here, as well as, of course, as we talked about, the one in the northwest. It does look like Team 1's pressure on Team 2 is not enough to crack. And again, I'm pushing on caps locks. Have no idea why I keep fat fingering that, but it's just a habit. We do see that Kamer again is just standing over his troops, watching them group up and maneuver down there. Team 2's player of Undead is over here in his forward operating base. Very interestingly enough, he's not pushing in a little bit more than he probably could. He doesn't mean to sit there and micromanage his forces there. He could easily just have some engineers reclaim that, but he wants to be doing it personally. And then we see Scarecrow over here in the middle. We do see Team 1's players, again, sticking in their main bases. No one has really left, besides maybe you can argue Barfeeder a little bit, and then you can, of course, argue a little bit from Bettergy side of things. But Team 1 is deciding to be more standoffish, and that's partly driven the fact that the environment is very difficult to really get around. Again, there are land units that are starting to make their way closer to Team 1's lineup over here, but again, narrow neck of environment, decently narrow neck of environment. Again, it's a nice little kill box that Team 1 can easily form to lock out Team 2. So realistically, Team 2 is going to gain a little bit of advantage in the mass department down here, and this is still up for grabs in every phrase of the word. So realistically, it's just going to be an all-out brawl until one team pretty much will dominate. Because Team 1, let's say if they grab this quadrant position, is not going to stop. They're just going to continue to push and wipe out Team 2. So realistically, whoever can get into the land facilities first will pretty much be the victor in that regard. T2 land is online, and it is built down here because, like I said, why not? No point building it up here and then having to ferry units down there anyways. You could easily just build it down there and call it a day. Lots and lots of Team 1 spam over here. We don't see any T2 as of yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see one of these facilities upgraded to that here shortly. Maybe it'll be up here. But like I said, it doesn't make sense to put it up there. T2 land online for Bettergy and T2 air online. Actually, almost T3 air online for Justice. So he's going to have a pretty early T3 air upgrade. Team 2 sitting at T2 land. No T3 air, not even T2 air for Team 2. I feel like that's a huge mistake, but they could have some other plans in store. T2 land also online for Undead in the northwest. That blue pressure slowly starting to erode Team 1's just amount of spam. We do see a couple of engineers outbound from Undead. Again, dropping off for the reclaim, trying to scale his eco sooner rather than later. We can see they are dropped successfully. Again, one engineer isn't a lot, but over the course of 5-10 minutes, it will add up to thousands and thousands of mass reclaimed. We're even seeing some units not even dropped off, but being built here for Undead. He's recognized that this is a huge point of contention. If Team 1 can win this northwest corner, they can essentially maybe lock out Barfeeder, and that's a whole player's worth of eco gone. So that's going to be a lot of focus down here in the southeast. There's a little bit of build here for Bettergy, but that's more for patrolling AA, nothing too crazy. But he has surrounded himself quite literally with his forces, so nothing is going to surprise him. Nothing will go over his head. And if he moves ever so slowly, so he cannot be spotted. Couple of Ilshis running around here, slowly thinning out the ranks here for Team 1. And again, they can't be overwhelmed quite easily, but they will take out a ton of forces before they end up kicking the bucket. But look at this. Team 1 is slowly losing territory very, very quickly. The middle of the map is now under control of Team 2, and there's even engineers going out to get those mexes as well. In the middle of the map, couple of missile launchers built here by Team 2 Cyber player of Scarecrow. We do see those missile launchers are going in for some mexes, but there have been some zappers built, and maybe a missile piece will get through. That mech's almost taken out, but again, Team 1 is already prepared some TMD, so it's not going to be as effective as obviously Team 2 would have liked. And even in the east, we have a couple of Team 1 tanks continuing to push, but they get stopped by Team 1's forces. So it was a nice attempt, but it isn't really going to go anywhere anytime soon. And look at this. Most of those facilities have been wiped out. Those Ilshis and other Team 1 spam very, very helpful in dealing with Team 1's main forces. And it doesn't even look like units are even being built in these facilities. He's given up on going for all of that spam and all of that aggression. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for maybe T3 very, very quickly and then go for bricks or even loyalists just to spam out some forces. That is a downside to having your entire team being one faction is, yes, it allows for easy transference of units because it's the same units. However, you don't get the diversity of, okay, well, some units are better at close quarters combat, some units are better, there's the T3 mobile shields that the Seraphim have, or the Perseus, or like there are unit advantages and disadvantages in having not as much of a breadth in terms of that kind of advantage or disadvantage kind of window. Makes things a little bit more restrictive, but sometimes less choices are better than more choices. That's definitely, I think, a thing for Netflix, is because there's so much to watch. Sometimes it's hard to pick what to watch, and sometimes it's nice to have a curated list of, these are the things that you've watched, these are the things that we think you're going to watch, possibly, and maybe there's some other choices here, but that's it. That's all you get. Kind of a limited option. Maybe would be better for Netflix. I don't know. I usually pick what I watch in terms of, I'm very specific about what shows I like to watch, so suggested things might help me, but not really. So, and I watch a decent amount of anime, and I don't really watch much Netflix. It's mainly just Hulu and Crunchyroll, pretty much. That's about it. We do see a loyalist dropped off here by Team 1's Bettergy, though, as I ramble on about shows and whatnot. We do see it's going after actually a decent amount of T2 mexes. These T2 mexes were taken out, already repaired to T1, though. A couple of T2 PD, but again, loyalists do have the EMP weapons on board, so they can slowly erode or slowly actually just stop stuff from shooting at them. But he is getting some veterancy to compensate for his loss in hit points. We do see another loyalist has been dropped off. 5-star vetted loyalist, that is. So Team 2's eco is slowly just being picked apart. You can see that discrepancy here on the scoreboard. It's about 50 mass, 40 mass. And that's now jumping probably to do power-related suggestions, or shenanigans, I should say. Suggestions, I don't know why you can have power suggestions. It's you either have power or you don't have power, or you tell your teammate or yourself you need to get power. One of the it's one or the other. It's kind of a, yeah, do you have it or do you not have it? Loyalist just being annoying, trying to run around and have some fun. Brick comes in and goes, okay, I'm kind of done with that. And Team 2 does eventually deal with that. But look at that. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, let's say 10 mexes knocked offline at a minimum. And if that was just T2 mexes, that's 60 mass a second. If they were fully ringed, that's 90 mass a second. And that essentially is the discrepancy between these two teams, was just those two loyalists. So great play here by Bettergy. Saw a weakness, exploited it. If he tries it again, it's going to be less effective, as we've seen in a whole lot of games. So maybe try a different angle, a different unit, different strategy. Maybe some T3 strat bombers. Because, again, Team 2 doesn't have T3 air. They do have T2 air and upgrading to T3 air, but Team 1 could easily have exploited that. I mean, they've had T3 air for at least a couple of minutes, at least at a minimum, which means we could have a strat bomber just rampage in the countryside back here, as well as just there's already some gunships stacked up here. So realistically, somebody's eco could have been annihilated really early, but looks like they want to be a little bit more reserved for what they're doing. And then that kind of reflects their playstyle. Everybody has not even left their main landmass and their main territory. So they're being a little bit more defensive, letting Team 2 come to them. The downside of that is they cede a ton of territory. Granted, the north was a different story, but the south specifically, all those mexes are under Team 2's control. They'll be under Team 2's control unless Team 1 decides to change. It will always be under Team 2's control. In the north, we do see a couple of artillery shells landing on the lower section of the map. This is where having a height advantage is very effective, because line of sight weapons are not great in terms of hills, of course, and artillery is not. Ooh, that's a nice grab there, getting a couple of Team 1 units. Again, it only is Team 1, T2 spam, nothing too crazy to lose, but it is still units to lose. But again, those can be reclaimed, so there is a benefit to just having units die and then you reclaim them. But radar systems being taken offline, that's not helpful. Engineers dying, that's also not helpful. Again, that's a lot of APM that Team 2 is sinking into this area of the map that's just kind of not going to waste, but just not being as fruitful as it could have been had those artillery pieces not been there. And this, like I said, look at the south. Team 2 just has not moved. They've been very stalwart in there. We're going to sit here, we're not going to do anything, and call it a day. So maybe it'll just kick off and it'll be just constant action, or it's going to sit like that for the rest of the game. I highly doubt it'll sit like that for the rest of the game, because that's very worrisome on both sides, because Team 1 doesn't know what Team 2's doing. Team 2 doesn't know what Team 1's doing. So it's very much a either you rush, mass income, or you always spy plane, air scout over, which neither team is really doing. You can see, Team 1, they don't really know what much is going on. They definitely need a Omni online, at least at a minimum. So that's just my little 2 cents there for that regard. Spamming harder. Somebody made a comment about that up there. Well, they won, so it worked. Again, just got to get those units up and over the hillside. Now, T2 transports would be very useful, especially just if they pick up the Ilshis and the T2 flak. Just getting those units to the other side of the map would be super helpful in allowing for more engagements to occur on Team 1's main landmass, because this is T2 mexes, T3 mexes, T2 artillery. It looks like there's going to be a soothsayer. Granted, it shouldn't be that close to the edge, because it can be susceptible to T3 and even T2 PD just sitting right over here. So probably put it a little bit further back, maybe right about here, or even just right where the artillery is, just to give some breadth of vision. But it is nice to see that. Just probably should be placed in a little bit further back position. Gunships in the east are starting to mount, but there are some lightning tanks already on the scene here for Team 2's Undead. So realistically, I mean, it'll work, but I just think the chance that Team 1 had to use it to their greatest advantage has been not neglected, just been not used to its fullest extent. I don't know how else to phrase it. Just it isn't used. So the window of opportunity has been missed. There we go. That's probably the way to put it. And nice little interceptor running around, air scout as well. Like I said, Team 2 just not engaging now. Once they grab that lower section of the map, they're perfectly fine. They're just going to let Team 1 sit in their base. They've taken out this mech group right here. And Team 2 is leading the mass game right now. 21 minutes on the clock here. Team 2 at 1K mass. Team 1 at almost 900. So I'd say about 100 more for Team 2. A little bit over than that. That's at 1.1. So maybe about 150. Team 1 really needs to step on the gas and go after a lot of these mexes up here. Or even just down here. Team 2 has kind of been sitting pretty for a while. Haven't really been attacked. They've been doing the attacking. They've gained territory. They haven't lost territory. They've lost mexes and they've rebuilt them and all that stuff. But they haven't really lost territory at all this game. We do see an Omni is online for Team 2 now, so love to see that. It is in the middle of the map, so they get a huge section of the map always known. And then, of course, the rest of the map is pretty much shown at this point. You see that ASF ball is getting decently big, as well as, of course, gunships constantly being added in as well. They are whalers, so they have some AA and some air-to-ground weapons. Again, they're not as good as the restorers for the AA or the broadswords for the air-to-ground, but they are a good go-between. We have a nice little kind of jack of all trades, being the 2 trades. So, they are a good unit. Strategy builds an experiment. So the first one of the game, it is a crab. So he skipped the monkey phase of Cyber Experimentals and went straight for the longer range, more annoying crab. And a couple of SACU Rambo preset commanders up here. These things, man, they are annoying. And not just because they're Rambos, but because 400 hit points is so much to deal with. It's not 400 hit points to just have on your ACU, granted, if that was how many you had to die instantly. But 400 per second is insane. And they have a nice little AoE splash as well. And just crazy amounts of nonsense on those things. Now, they are not the end-all, be-all. They can be taken out. Usually crabs or just a ton of damage very quickly will kill them. But Team 1, T2 units, good luck. We see more of them landing up here. Again, Team 1 is just kind of holding off and just sending a couple units out, building some AA, building some defenses. They're re-expanding out. Team 2 has grabbed actually T3 mexes here for Undead. And he is launching an attack as we speak. The first major one of the game down here being led by a crab here from Team 1. Unfortunately, it's now turned around because there's an army closing in here from the east. There is a missile strike inbound from Bettergy. Where is that going? The calm is right here. Looks like they're going after the T3 land headquarters here for Undead. No. No, they're not. No, they're going for the calm. Is that a dead calm outright? Oh, that's a dead calm. Ooh. Ooh, that is not great for Team 2. The first player of the game dead, and that is Undead. And all these forces will actually stop what they're doing for a brief moment while transfer of control is given to somebody else. Crab is completely surrounded here. Not looking good here for Team 1. But they did just get a kill. So there is a little bit of leeway to be given there. Huge grab, though. Again, the downside, though, of course, as always, is you give more mass to somebody else on the other team. So if the APM is not as strong with them, then that could be the difference. But if it is, not good things. Especially with Team 2 sitting at 1.5k and Scarecrow now sitting at 1.1k mass just by himself. And that is about as much mass as Team 1 is pulling in together. So that is a huge amount of mass to be ahead. And just goes to show how much Undead was ecoing. And of course, he has lost a couple of mexes in the middle here, because those SACUs running around not only killing everything off, but also reclaiming everything. So not only do they get the veterancy to stay alive even longer, but they also get the mass to send back home to fuel other projects, or just getting in more SACUs is probably what's going on with that. Crab being assisted by a decent group of whalers now that the rest of those land forces have been dealt with. Probably should have sent them in a little bit sooner, but it's better late than never. And look at this. The missiles are just picking apart everything down here. T3 Pigeons going down. That's not a good sign. Will this one take out this one? Nope. It's going to go after that wreck and do a little bit more damage to that. There's some mass fabs down here. That's a nice target. There's no TMD at all. Very missed opportunity here for Undead. Team 1 overall sitting at 3 players left. Team 2 has lost the only player of the game being Undead. It is a 3v2 game at 27 minutes. Let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game. Of course, if you haven't done so already, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And like I said in the beginning, if anybody knows why those numbers are 0, please let me know. I loaded up a different replay, and it was perfectly fine, and it showed the rating. So I don't know if this is just a one-off, it was a glitch, and they fixed it. Whatever happened, it just somehow could have been this cast. It could have been more cast, this replay or more. Just let me know. Again, it's not a huge thing to be impacted in the game, but it is nice to know, hey, this person is this rating, hey, this person is this rating, just to kind of get an idea of their rough skill level. So just food for thought. That crab gets taken out. Probably should have just been sent home, but decided to push, and Team 2 goes, yeah, no, we don't like that you have a crab. We're going to build our own crab and deal with yours. Engineers, do not tell me you're being dropped off 5 feet in front of you. You pretty much were. And they're going to scoop up as much mass as possible. They haven't been given orders as of yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them being given orders anytime soon. That crab is inbound from Team 2. You got to give those commands sooner rather than later. There's your crab buddy, your engineer buddy just scooping up stuff right here. Nuke silo construction has been started for Bettergy. We'll see if he fit. Oh, no, it's done. Excuse me. It isn't started. It's done. That's going to be a nice little big ticket item here for him. And those SACUs, those Rambo presets are getting more deadly and more numerous and more annoying for Team 2 to deal with. Not great here for Team 2. Look at this. Just a couple of SACUs running around. It's not going to be able to do very much in terms of Team 2 be able to fight back. They have to get some, I was going to say they need some chickens or some experimentals, and that's definitely going to help. Because the SACUs, the one thing they are vulnerable to is just large bursts of damage, especially these ones. So if you're able to essentially override the nano regen, then it doesn't even matter how much you can regen per second, you will die. So large explosions and artillery pieces definitely help. But again, hitting moving targets is Different story altogether. Chicken and a crab walk into a bar. In this case, the bar is named Team 1, and it's going to need renovations here shortly. Monkey is inbound. Missiles impact the mountainside there. Not great, but 2 of them make it through. And there they go, striking nothing. But it was close, though. Had the crab just ever so slightly slowed down, it would have been enough. Chicken is going to survive, and the crab is not even going to be worried about it. There goes that monkey lord. And I don't know why the game keeps like ever so slightly pausing. Maybe just because my machine is struggling today or something, or the replay because it's all zeros is like I can't compute, divide by 0, grrr. Something like that. I always make myself laugh. Gotta make myself laugh because you gotta have fun. You gotta laugh at yourself, gotta laugh at other things just to keep everything lively and whatnot. More missiles outbound. They will miss, of course, but they will take out nothing. That was very anticlimactic. So we have a chicken moving in on its own. That chicken will die to probably tickle cannon fire. If not, the monkey will probably laser it for 2 seconds and kill it. Oh, no, it'll laser it for 2 seconds because it got some veterancy there. There it goes. And now in the west, the crab is facing up against the crab, so not really great engagement here from Team 2. Hives reclaiming stuff just to make sure nothing explodes. Unfortunately, that explodes, takes out half the hives. That's not great. But that nuke, of course, is the thing that Team 1 desperately wants to save. In the west, the SACUs are being chased down by a chicken. So again, they do make it to safety, but some of them did die, and there's more, of course, over here. And there's even more up here, and probably more all the time. Yep, there they are. There they go. Crab is down, monkey is down, chicken is down. That's a lot of reclaim. And another monkey online for for Justice. We do see he's going after his own SACU production. He's going for nano presets. So interesting strategy from both of the flanked players for Better G is that they're going for SACU nano preset. And they are Rambo, of course, but they're specifically the nano. So again, the 400 a second regen is kind of the main focus. The chicken is now rampaging around some T3 mexes for Team 1. Team 1's not going to be happy about that, but there's not much that they can do about it at this point. There are some SACUs on the scene, but they can't EMP the chicken because that's not how that works. And there are some more units inbound to support. A couple of sniper bots who just slowly eat away at the hit points for those SACUs, but again, it's just one of those things where it's not really going to matter because by the time the sniper shot hits them and it reload to fire another shot, the SACU will regen most of that health anyways. So it's nice, but you really need a lot of them. Essentially, overkill is the way to kill those things. So it's actually just kill. So stealth field gen online. It is not really going to help Team 1 because they'll see it, take it out immediately, and then go, oh yeah, we can just see you. Don't worry about it. SACUs trying to get in range of the chicken. The chicken is able to kind of fire backwards, sort of, kind of. It's able to essentially stretch its arms out a little bit, but it can't fire 180 degrees behind it. But I'd say about maybe 130, maybe 120 of angle of going all the way back kind of thing. Or at least, I don't know. I don't know what the degree exactly would be, but you get my point. You get my point. Math is hard. Especially in your head, math is hard. See those sniper bots shooting at those SACUs. The shot already just nullified. And there it goes. There goes that sniper bot. Again, nothing too crazy to lose, but it's just not going to be super, super effective. Not SACUs, but ASFs. I'm seeing a lot of acronyms today. Hanging out in the little canyon. Wouldn't recommend putting them there specifically, but they are there nonetheless. We have 2 monkeys and another monkey here. It's a holding position. Team 2 has their own SACUs online. They are the RAS instead of the Rambo presets. And look at those SACUs just going down bit by bit to those chickens. One chicken will get defeated, and that Ion Storm will probably rip apart a decent chunk of those support commanders. You can see all those shots coming in at one time. Ion Storm's not helping everything. It's keeping some of those SACUs from really getting back up to full HP. The chicken is severely depleting on hit points. There's a new chicken, so this chicken died, this chicken's about to die, and this chicken fully off of the assembly line. And there goes that one. So that's number 2 chicken that Team 2 has lost over here in the middle. Team 1 has, again, more and more SACUs coming on the scene, as well as T2 artillery being built back here. So essentially the idea is, as long as Team 1 can keep this group of forces here, they can just build and build and build and really just bombard them to death, which is a good strategy to do. The only thing is, you got to keep them there, which is the difficult thing to do. Of course, the SACUs do generate 1 mass a second. It isn't much, but, you know, 1 mass times 10 is 10, times 100 is 100. So having 100 SACUs for the nano side of things may not be the most economic thing to do, but sure packs a wallop in terms of regen and damage, just because the fact that they just will not die. They will die, just it takes a while. The Athotha just, again, being forced to retreat. I wouldn't say this is critical numbers of SACUs, but I'd say probably 3 times this amount would be probably critical mass, unless Team 2 has a lot of experimentals in their back pocket. Another chicken is off the assembly line. I feel like Team 2 at this point is just fueling the reclaim field in the middle of the map. Nuke is outbound. It's actually outbound from Team 2 and Team 1 simultaneously. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. Maybe ever so, yeah, it's ever so slightly in favor of Team 2's launching. But very, very close. This nuke has no SMD coverage. And this nuke over here is going after this group of... oh, no, it's going to land short, going after a couple of experimentals. It will grab the monkey and do tiny bits of damage to this monkey as well, but it won't get the crab because that'll survive. The nuke from Team 1 does not actually land because it gets shot down, looks like by this SMD most likely. Unfortunate, but nothing too damaging. And again, it's one of those scenarios where there's more SACUs than they are the nanos, and since they can EMP most units, all that DPS goes to 0 because you can't fire anything. Nope. Just kind of one of those things where if you can't shoot your gun, doesn't matter how much DPS you can do. You can't shoot your gun. You can't shoot your gun. You can't do damage. You can't do damage. You're going to die, especially if you're in front of somebody. Strap bombers inbound. Now this is a good way to do a lot of damage very quickly, and actually over a nice area. You can see the first monkey has been defeated. The second monkey will probably die to the crab, but it does save the SACUs, which is the most important thing, I think, in this realm. And the monkey will die. There it goes. There's some really weird audio effects going on. Northeast. Nuke is still loading. Lots of, looks like, dotted AA all over the place for Barfeeder. Currently sitting at 42. That is a decent amount. And T3 artillery is raining in from Team 2. It is a disruptor surrounded by some Cybran shielding. So not the best choice, especially when you have Seraphim right next to you. But, you know, you deal with what you had and not have to worry about a whole lot. So I don't blame him. You don't have to worry about getting a Seraphim T3 engineer over there to build them. You can just build with what you got and just leave everything everywhere else. It's just an APM kind of thing. So, but that's what I would recommend is Seraphim shielding. Or at least upgrade these to ED5s. One to the other. Granted, ED5s are not great comparatively to ED4s, but still, a little bit more shielding couldn't hurt, right? Right? Airfight will occur over nothing. There's no AA nearby for either team. Team 1 will not really engage Team 2's ASFs, which means Team 2 will have the advantage. Now they do, and I think Team 2 will win it just because of that. Oh, maybe not. Maybe Team 2 will actually lose it. And granted, Team 1 did lose a couple of ASFs due to just not really moving them, but Team 1 will win the airfight that they actually didn't even, looks like, want to take to begin with. So Team 2 underestimated how many Team 1's ASFs numbered, and they paid the price for it. Bug is inbound. Not really a fan of the bug, but it's there. And Nuke has been spotted by Team 2. Yep, there it is. Looks like that is the target. It has taken some damage, so one more shot will kill it. The comm of Bettergy is actually sitting right pretty close to it. Nuke is down and actually hits Bettergy as well. That's not great for Team 1. Bug is inbound. There's even some T2 transports moving in to do as much as they can. Oh, the bug is just having some issues here. There it goes, going after some... What did it shoot at? Looks like it was actually trying to shoot at the Omni, but it got blocked by, it looks like, a couple of ASFs. And those transports being shot out of the sky by those ASFs trailing that bug. There goes some mass FAFs. Looks like the target is the artillery. Does Team 2 have adequate A8 defenses? Probably not, by the looks of it. There is, again, 4 shield emplacements, so it's going to take a little bit of time for that bug to shoot through. And they are building AA as we speak. T2, in fact, so it's better than nothing. But it's easily spammable because it's, again, cheaper than T3. Assist shield says and dead. Well, there isn't really a lot of SACUs or even engineers for that fact nearby. T3 AA being spammed up by the column of Scarecrow. He has T3 engineering suite on board. The ACU, the ASF Horde completely just trying to body block as much as they can. Pigeons are the target. I love to see that because what that does is it does a lot of AoE damage and it takes out the artillery. Love to see that play from Bettergy. He went for the probably not better target, but a good target to go after. Now Scarecrow is going to be the recipient of some damage from the skies, and the Soul Ripper still has a couple thousand hit points remaining. He might actually survive this, and he does. Looks like sitting at 2,500 hit points remaining. All those ASFs, all they did was essentially just maybe delay the inevitable of the death of the Soul Ripper, but again, the artillery is down. That puts a decent amount of pressure off of Team 1. In the north, Nuke explodes, kaboom, takes out those mexes and that artillery line, but it doesn't matter. The SACUs are invading, and it's just another one of those scenarios where it's just not great. Looks like that SACU actually died on top of a chicken, and because it died on top of a chicken, it actually did a little bit of AoE damage to the chicken. So that's actually an interesting tactic where if you know an SACU is going to die, you can just do some damage to nearby units by just throwing it. It's like a chicken, but just a burst of damage instead of a constant ion storm that is just wreaking havoc on the remaining SACUs. Look at the 3 ion storms activated at the same time. And those SACUs are fleeing for their lives. Not very many remain. All this reclaim sits in Team 2's hands. Granted, a lot of it was Team 2's to start with, but they do net a little bit more because of the dead SACUs in the east. I'm saying that phrase a lot, SACUs. 1, 2, 3 crabs plus a chicken versus maybe 20 or so SACUs and 2 crabs, one of them decently wounded. Another bug has been started by Bettergy. Will he rebuild his nuke? It doesn't look like it. Ooh, Scathis has been started by Barf. That's the second ladder match in a row where we've at least seen the Scathis be built. This might be another one where it's actually built, but at a minimum, we've at least seen it. And we see the Loyalists redirecting the missile fire. Love to see that here from Team 2, especially since, again, they're a third Cybran. There are some TMDs nearby, so that will be beneficial, but the shield going offline is not going to help by any means. Ooh. Will they do some damage to those missile launchers? They will actually kill off all of them, so the counteracting of the missiles has been very beneficial to Team 2. I see that bug is now done once again. Lots and lots of engineers being thrown on those projects. Again, it's just one of those scenarios where is it even worth it at this point? Because the Scathis exists. Granted, Team 2 doesn't have any long-range anything, but they have almost rebuilt the Disruptor, to be fair. So they've only disrupted the Disruptor in the sense of firing. I know I'm using the name to describe the action, but it works. In the north, to see a little bit more pushback here from Team 2. And I love this. There's engineers reclaiming from Team 1. Crab just does not care. It's going to just reclaim. It's going to hang out. No real issues. Those engineers are just trying to feed their families. They're not going to worry about all of them. Looks like some early warning systems in the northwest here for Team 1. Love to see that. Just a little bit of hay. If Team 2 tries to edge out some bombers or something, they'll be aware of it when it happens. The Scath is finishing, though. That might be the key to Team 1's victory at this point. 41 minutes. Mass is still in favor of Team 2, but it's not by that much. And the Soul Ripper goes straight in and pretty much immediately dies. Again, the same thing happened with the Loyalist. Was Team 1 did a strategy. It worked. And then Team 2 went, oh, we're just going to counter that. And then they did. And then if Team 1 were to do it again, it wouldn't be as effective. In this case, it wasn't because the Soul Ripper came in, did a lot of damage. Then they went, oh, we can just send another Soul Ripper in. Nah, it's not going to work. So that's just free reclaim here for Team 2. Looks like they've already reclaimed the first one since it was right next to Scarecrow's comm. And that army is slowly inching its way forward. There's a new bug added to the mix, and now a disruptor has been started over here because of all the engineer support, because why not? It's right there. The only issue I have with this is just put your mass over to here and build the Scathis faster. That will be a lot better, specifically because it's already at 25% in climbing. I mean, you might as well. Nuke is outbound here from Team 2 going after those crabs, and this one will die from it. This one will be fine, but the SACUs are probably what Team 2 is trying to really get. Because, yeah, a couple of crabs are fine. You know, a couple dozen bricks are fine. But the amount of SACUs that Team 1 has is starting to be worrisome. And there's even a fight in the north. I'll check it out for a second. Kaboom! That was a great nuke. Took out a crab. Took out most of the health for that crab. Took out actually probably half a dozen or a dozen of SACUs. More of them dying up here to the north. That crab being taken out and assisted by the bug. The nuke launcher here from Team 2 now sitting at 244,000 mass. That's more mass than a game ender. That's a lot of mass. And that's what, 2 nukes? 3 nukes? 3 nukes. I think it was 3 nukes. Because you had the one with that went after the mass over here. Actually, no, it didn't. It went after this. And then it went after this. So 2 nukes. 2 nukes. All those SACUs gifted over to... Looks like Nuclear Justice is the one in control of those. Bug does not make it back home, but can still be reclaimed because it's on the cliff edge there. So engineers can walk up and just reclaim it quite easily. But look at that. That force is slowly inching its way forward. And I feel like Team 1 might not have enough in the tank for this engagement. Maybe, possibly, maybe. That chicken is going to attack first. And those SACUs are going to... I think probably just spread out. Again, the AoE is definitely the worrisome thing here because you start getting a chain reaction going and it's not going to stop with those SACUs. So keeping them spread out, at least dividing them up somewhat definitely helps with that. But you can see the AoE damage slowly eating away at those hit points. We do see the chicken is now down. The bricks have pushed in. The loyalists coming to assist. They can EMP the SACUs. So that's actually a great counter to SACUs in this regard. The Loyalist EMP weapons can actually affect them. I thought they couldn't, but they can. Huh. That's very convenient. 3 crabs, of course, versus 1 plus a ton of SACUs isn't really going to go Team 1's way because it's just the additional range and all that stuff. And, of course, the crab can't be EMP'd, so that weapon is nullified. Artillery landing in near Barf Eater's position. He's actually stopped construction of the Scathis going for more shields. But here comes a crab inbound from the west. And I think it's just slowly Team 1 is losing this game. There's not that much that Team 1 can do at this point. Unless that Scathis was online immediately or they had a nuke or 2 or something. Because that would be a great grab right there with all that nuke damage and glorious explosion. Those SACUs are slowly dwindling. There's another crab on the field, but again, it's a 3v1 at this point. So it's just delaying the inevitable 45 minutes on the clock here. Artillery remaining in. Crab over here to the west. Artillery is about to take out the remaining shield for Barf. You can see some of those shots going after that little Myrmidon there, but they can breach that Scathis if it so is inclined to do so. Crab pushes forward. That's a deadly mistake. SACUs have whittled down most of those bricks, but again, it's just one of those scenarios where it's not really going to matter. There are some shields that have been built to house this SACU little horde, but I say horde not primarily because it actually is a horde, but because it's just a large or a decent group of them. You can see the EMP weapons ineffective. There's, again, a little bit of AoE to them, of course, but them standing still like this, it's not great. And there goes 1, 2, 3. There's some brick support inbound, but that's only going to last not long. And how's the Scathis doing? Scathis is still alive, but it has taken a hit. The crab targeting the whatever it can. It looks like it actually could hit the Scathus if it just moved right in that little divot where my cursor is. Those SACU. So now fleeing 46 minutes on the clock here, and Team 1 just does not have much left. We do see that. Either that's yep, that is a control K from Better G. First, actually, to kill / departure of the game on Team 1. 46 minutes. And we'll see if Team 1's other players stick in for the long haul, or they just dip out like Better G did. I don't blame him. I mean, the writing is on the wall, so it's definitely going that way. And I don't think he died to P-Gens just because there's no Rex, and there's really nothing by him that would denote that. Another Nuke outbound here from Team 2. Again, this is the one that has done 267,000 mass damage. Now, granted, all the stuff that it actually did damage was killed off, so the numbers went up a little bit more. SMD protecting Nuclear Justice, but I don't think that's going to hold much longer. Yep, there it goes. Scathus is back, but there's a nuke that sails overhead that actually misses him and goes straight for the dual gateways. Nuclear Justice, Control Ks, all of this goes kaboom! And with the departure of another player on Team 1 and the destruction of a huge chunk of Bar Feeder's base, that is not great. The invasion has occurred and is continuing to move northward, and it is only a matter of time before that base is rend asunder. I think I'm using that word correctly. Probably not, but somebody will comment about it down in the comments about how I'm poor at English or something. I don't know. SACU teleports in. Actually, no, it actually just gets carried over there by Team 2. It's like it's having some troubles actually trying to move because of the EMPing. This one has 310 hit points, but it also has like 44,000 hit points as well. So, yeah, the regen a little bit offset by the amount of hit points. But Pigeons are going down all over the place. The shields are going to collapse here any moment. The Scathus is gone, and there goes Team 1's remaining player. He goes, no, I'm done. See ya, bye. And Team 2 wins the game with only one casualty, that being and dead by a nice tac missile snipe by Better G. Team 2's MVP. I mean, both players did very well. It also, of course, helped Scarecrow that he had dual base. Obviously, that push was a huge amount of encouragement for Team 1 to leave or depart or forfeit or whatever. The Western side, though, Team 2's Kamer did a very good job holding off Team 1's aggression. I mean, all those SACUs, he poured a lot into this lower section of the map. He was also building his own Scathus, to be fair. But he did a lot to just continue to just keep that territory, even if he lost a huge portion of it. Look at all the explosions from all the SACUs going down just everywhere. Granted, that was a nuke, but there's more there. There's a lot. Look at that. Look at that. Just devastation there. And then just a little line right there. But I think both of them played very well. I don't think I can give one player or the other MVP. Let me know down in the comments if you have a pick and why. Thank you so very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And again, like I said, in the beginning and in the middle, why are they 0? Why are the ratings 0? I would like actual numbers. Please, please, somebody let me know what happened. Thank you, and I'll see all of you in the next one.